Okay. This is an example of how to check your work.
It's much harder when it's an abstract, isn't it?
Yes. Yes, it is. Okay, so I threw some challenges in there, and I'm going to say, oh yeah, here we are. We're going to go along here and go, oop. Okay, so you know something's wrong, but you might not realize what's wrong. So when we look at it in the mirror, if I drew the exact opposite of what I'm supposed to, it should look like what I see right here. So when I slide this back, now I'm looking at that. Okay, it's not. Okay, wait a second. I'm confusing myself. But it's that's what it should look like. I mean, excuse me.
That's what it should.
That's what it should look like. I'm doing it backwards. That's what it should look like, because that's what I started with. So I'm still looking at this. That's what it should look like. And then I see this and I go, oh, it should look like this. So it should come in here and then out. So it's a challenge, because this one, the loop is coming from the inside out, and I have the outside in. Are y'all seeing that? And then I realized down here I got off, and so then I continued, and then I ended up right. But somewhere along the way, what I started out is doing the exact same thing. Another thing you can realize is if you're doing the exact same thing, remember when we did our scrolls last week, and we were getting that exact, I was following along, with the think lines. Well, if you're drawing the same thing, you should be able to do this. Keep your fingers the same distance apart and just follow along. So if you don't have a mirror and you want to see, oh, did I end up doing exactly what I see rather than opposite? Then put your fingers down where you begin. If you did it right, your fingers will travel totally opposite of each other along the route. And it's easier to do this. It's a physical thing. But the physical will help you see it. Does that make sense? It's weird, but your brain works that way. I don't know why. But it works. All right, so what I want you to do on this is just practice. Draw yourself some mirror images, or better yet, you can have somebody else draw them for you. I'm going to show you what to avoid. Well, ignore the dots on here. Say if this is your homework. Okay, I'm going to have 2 long mirror images. So I'm going to have dot, 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 dot. There's my line of symmetry on this side. Okay, what I don't want you to do is do little bitty things that are way away from your line of symmetry. Do larger strokes that come toward and away. If you do a lot of little things like this that are so far away, it's hard to relate to that because you can't see them as easily. But you might have somebody say, draw straight lines, curved lines, straight line, angle line, curved line, straight line, angle line, curved line. And just think of the lines of elements of shape and put those in. You just want to make sure that they vary, that you have some curved lines and some angle lines. So when you're working on this, go out, in. There's not a whole lot of difference there. I want to show you one more thing that'll be a real challenge. I know y'all like challenges. I know you can do it. Oh, yeah, I remember now one thing I was going to tell you. The method that I teach drawing I relate it to learning how to read. And I mentioned this last time, but two of you weren't here. You know, when you learn to read, you learn the alphabet, you learn the sounds of the letters. Those letters put together form words. Eventually you make a sentence, and then a paragraph, and then a story. Well, I'm teaching you how to see line, how to draw shape. You're going to learn how to create shadow, and eventually you'll get to your story. But hopefully with all these weird little activities, then you're going to create some tools in your toolbox so that when you have something to draw, you'll have an arsenal of which to pull from. And sometimes blind contour will be an option. Sometimes it'll be a mirror image that, oh, I remember when we worked with mirror images and we have this line of symmetry, and sometimes it'll be perspective, and we're going to be working with that too. But you know, I don't think any of you are frustrated right now that because you're not walking out with a finished drawing. But that'll be toward the end. And so I really appreciate so far y'all's attitude. You've been very
This tells
positive.
me I'm not ready to draw a drawing.
But that's okay. But this also allows you to play. This also allows you to practice. One of the worst things you can do for yourself is expect a beautiful masterpiece when you're not going to be sitting at a recital for a piano if you haven't put some practice behind that. You're not going to play a beautiful piece of music if you don't know your scales or where you hold your fingers for the notes. And so learning this way gives you confidence, hopefully by the time we get to things that we want to draw what it looks like, then you won't be intimidated, and you'll say, oh, okay, I got this.
This is like the scales.
Yeah, this is your scales. So because we're also dealing with things that are non-objective, you're less judgmental on yourself. So all of that to say we're our worst critic, okay? All right, does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm going to stop this video and we'll start another one.